here. Welcome to a universe. Relle.
Welcome to the Relle Universe and welcome to Relle from the Pod. I am so happy you are here. And I will be really honest with you. I don't believe in coincidences, and I don't believe you accidentally landed here right now on this exact episode in this exact moment of your life. Maybe you've had the feeling for a while that something in your life wants to change. Maybe you are wondering if there's more than your everyday routine, your roles, your constant functioning. Maybe you can't quite put it into words yet, but something in you is searching for the first sign. So let this podcast be exactly that, your first sign. I am Relle. I am 36, a mom of two wonderful daughters, born and raised in Germany, and I've spent most of my life living in Berlin. If my 12-year-old self could see me here today hosting my own podcast in the Relle Universe with a voice that's actually being heard, she would probably nod proudly, because deep down, even back then, there was this clear feeling. There's more waiting for me, more of the world, more freedom, more than everyone around me could imagine at that time. A path in life that isn't just about safety, but about adventure. The fact that this girl would one day become a woman who, even as a mother, doesn't put her dreams on hold, but keep following them, who builds life that truly looks and feels like her, that wouldn't surprise her. My heart has always dreamed bigger than my life allowed for a long time. And the difference now is I no longer sit around waiting for that life to somehow find me one day. I claim it and I create it myself. But it wasn't always like that. I have been an entrepreneur for almost 10 years now. I've run different companies in different industries. I worked as a managing director, led teams, and had two children along the way. I started my very first company during my first maternity leave, in exactly the phase where so many people said things like, why can't you just relax for a moment? You can build your career later. This time with your baby will never come back. Do you really need to do this right now? For me, it was the exact opposite. When my two daughters were born, something switched on inside of me. As a mom of two girls, one of my deepest values is that they see this in me. You are allowed to want everything. You are allowed to dream big. And you are allowed to actually claim that life if you believe in yourself and are willing to go for it. I want them to see that we as women, even though we are mothers, or maybe exactly because we are, do not have to put ourselves last. That we are not only allowed to be happy if there's time left over, but that we are allowed to build a life that truly feels like us. I want them to understand we don't have to be dependent on anyone, not on a job, not on an opinion, not on a person. Our happiness, our freedom, our life, all of that lies in our hands. And that is exactly what I am choosing to model for them. From that point on, my career only seemed to go in one direction, up. New companies, new roles, more and more responsibility. I wasn't just an entrepreneur. At the same time, I was also employed in leadership positions, CEO, managing director, with everything that comes with it, leading people, keeping an eye on the numbers, making decisions, holding pressure. And all of that, not instead of my life as a mom, but alongside it. Getting my kids settled into daycare, kids' birthday parties, sudden fevers, sleepless nights. On one side, there were business plans, strategy meetings, full responsibility for revenue. On the other side, there were little hands that need me, tears that need to be dried, and this constant feeling of having to be everywhere at once. If I had to describe my life in one image, it would be probably a suitcase in one hand and a statement bag in the other, and me in the middle in bright, colorful clothes. And I started discovering the world as a kid. I traveled every year, visited almost every continent and over 30 different countries. And travel was never just vacation for me. It was always, who am I here? Who could I be if I lived in this place? And my second biggest love has always been fashion, everything connected to style, identity, expression. And to me, outfits aren't just surface. They tell stories, where you come from, what you've been through, and sometimes what you don't dare to say out loud yet. And these two loves, travel and fashion, have always been my personal expression of freedom and identity. And they taught me I am allowed to be myself everywhere, no matter which country I'm in, what I'm wearing, or which version of me I'm currently becoming. When my daughters were born, my sense of freedom crashed head on into a tightly laced corset of expectations. Maybe you've heard the sentence, having kids doesn't really change that much. You just take them with you into your life. Spoiler, everything changed. And it wasn't just my calendar. What really shifted was the way society looked at me. As a woman, the moment you become a mother, you are handed an invisible script. Be patient and present. Be ambitious, but never selfish. Be strong, but please don't be loud. A good mother sacrifices herself without complaining and looks completely relaxed by doing it. And if you still run a business and stay visible, the questions start. So, who is looking after the kids? Isn't this a bit much? It's this absurd paradox. A successful father with a family is celebrated as a hero. A successful mother with a family is treated like a mystery or like a potential problem. Suddenly, I wasn't just an entrepreneur anymore. I was the mom who still has a career. I sat at parent-teacher nights while running revenue forecasts in my head and thinking about the cake I still had to bake for the daycare party. I wanted to give 100% everywhere. The result? My calendar was full, but my inner battery was empty. I had success on paper, but no space left to feel whether that success still fit who I had become. I had a closet full of clothes, but none of them reflected the woman I had grown into. And then there were those nights when the world finally went quiet, when everyone else was sleeping, and I was lying in bed. The voice inside me got louder and louder. This can't be it. This is not the life you dreamed of as a 12-year-old in your childhood bedroom. And in those exact moments, I realized, yes, I am a mother. Yes, I am a managing director and I carry responsibility for other people. But I am also here on this planet for the very first time. And I don't just have the right, I have the responsibility to myself to live my own dreams. Because if I don't start working for myself, no one else is going to show up and live my dreams for me. And that was the moment I knew something has to change. What exactly changed or which first steps I took, that's what we will dive into in the next podcast episodes. If you find yourself nodding along while you are listening, or you recognize pieces of yourself in my story, then you are exactly where you are meant to be. Here I am talking to women who work, lead, hold responsibility, whether as employees, freelancers, or entrepreneurs, might be mothers or find themselves in a role where they are constantly functioning, seem to have everything under control from the outside, but feel on the inside there is a version of me I'm not fully living yet. I know your themes, worries and fears, because they were mine too. The fear of not being good enough, neither at work nor as a mom. The guilt when you take time just for yourself. The pressure to always be strong, organized, and on top of everything. The longing for a life that feels lighter without having to burn everything to the ground. This is exactly what I'll be talking about in this podcast. Honestly, lightly, imperfectly, and with a big dose of joy for life. And at the same time, something is happening in my life right now that I've been dreaming about for years. I am combining my love for travel with my biggest life dream. I'm starting a new life in the US and have founded my company, Relle LLC there. And with that, I'm bringing together two big dreams at once. Living abroad, living in America, and building a life that actually matches the version of me I feel on the inside, and creating a business that truly feels like me. Not just like a role, not just like a title, but like my identity, my story, my values. And behind Relle, there's not just a brand, there's a whole concept, a little universe of fashion and statement pieces that say more than 1,000 words. Identity and inner transformation for women who want to come back to themselves. And empowerment for women who refuse to keep choosing between career, between family and independence. Why this company, after all my years as a CEO, managing director, and entrepreneur, is the first one that feels truly right and aligned, and why I believe fashion and identity are inseparable, and how exactly Relle can support you on your own path. That's what I'll be sharing with you in the next episode. So if you are craving real stories, a mix of lightness and deep talk, and inspiration for your own rebirth, then stay with me. Thank you for being here for the very first episode of Relle from the Pot. And in the next episode, I will tell you why I founded Relle LLC, what's really behind it, and why it's the boldest step I have taken so far. Until then, remember, you don't have to choose between your career, your kids, and yourself. You get to be all of it.